Hello and welcome to the Remote Gaming Podcast, episode 27. No title for the episode right now off the top of my head. I was going to try to think of something cheeky, but I couldn't. I am Kevin Corkum alongside the Texas Lone Star himself, Joseph. It's been a while. We need to catch the audience up on why we've missed a few weeks, but how are you doing?
You know, in the words of Samuel L. Jackson, TikTok motherfucker. Uh, people have been waiting. I've gotten a message from a couple of friends, but we are back. It does feel good to be back. Yeah, it's good to see you. I know you've had been on a very lengthy honeymoon. You've had more fun, so I'll let you have the floor on what you've been up to. I've just been crazy with work. I've been in between switching. I'm working at two EMS services, trying to get set up at one, left the hospital, working two jobs, being in school. So life, work, kid balance. It's all fun. It's all great. I've been living in reality while you've been away from reality.
Yeah. The wife and I went to Hawaii. We were there for 2 weeks. On the way out, we stopped in Disneyland for 2 days. So flew out from Florida to Disneyland. We did 2 days there. Had an absolute blast in Disneyland. What a fun place! I mean, we're big Disney people. Call us Disney as adults if you want. We'll take that. But we had a great time out there in Disneyland, just screwing around, riding all the rides that they have, and eating some good food. And then we went over to Maui, Hawaii. We were there for 6 nights or 7 nights. Wow. I have to talk about Hawaii for a second. So we spend like 6 or 7 days in Maui, and then we went over to Kauai, which is the Garden Isles where they filmed Jurassic Park. So we got to see, a bunch of like the areas that they filmed Jurassic Park. But
Very nice.
it's hard to describe how cool Hawaii is without going. You feel like you're not in the US, but you are in the US. The islands just have this kind of, and it's going to sound really corny. They have this kind of magic to them. They're just so alive and so different. The people there are so great. You just, you feel incredibly connected, I think, to nature and just the islands. Highly recommend going if you have the means and opportunity to. It's awesome. Can't say enough good things about it. Obviously, we had a great time eating all the fresh seafood, surfing. We did all kinds of really cool excursions and had an absolute blast. But we were there for a while, so that kind of describes why we have been not recording. And then we got back. Was it Monday of last week? And normally I'm pretty good with jet lag. I can kind of stay up and do what I need to do to curb it, but it's a 6 hour difference and it kicked my ass this time. I was up in the middle of the night for almost the entire week. And then I immediately went back to work. So I'm working a new job and I'm in the swing of things and trying to get up to speed and overwhelmed and tired. I was taking a nap in the middle of the day. It was
You
just
didn't
all
do
kinds of
the
craziness.
you didn't do the typical like, oh, I'm back from my vacation, I'm going to take a day off. You just went straight back the next day.
So we took a red eye basically. So we flew out of Hawaii at I think our flight was like 1 o'clock Hawaii time, which is 6 o'clock Eastern. So we flew from Hawaii to California, and then from California back here. We landed at 6:50, 7 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. So we got home at 9 something, took a 4 hour nap, and then I was like, I'll take a 4 hour nap, I'll power through, and I'll go to bed around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and get back on schedule. I got maybe 2 hours of sleep that
Ah,
night,
shit.
maybe, and then worked the next day. So I was a zombie all of last week. I think I finally started to catch up around Friday afternoon. Saturday, I started to feel a little bit more well rested, but man, these are all. It was so worth it. I would do it again in a heartbeat. Just a really cool experience. We don't really take a lot of time off. We took some time off for the wedding. Like I think we took a couple days off before and 1 or 2 days after. Um, but that was the only time we've really taken off in the last year. So we're excited. We're feeling good, and it feels good to be back. I played some games while I was gone. Excited to talk a little bit about that and give a little update on my Switch 2 impressions. But there's also some news that dropped while we were gone. Some really cool, exciting kind of PlayStation 6 stuff that I want to jump into here
Real,
later
real,
on, and so on.
real. Oh, I didn't know if you were ready to like hop into that. I was going to
Oh
ask,
no.
you know, NFL season started. So
Oh
as
yeah.
you can see, it's Chiefs week for the Eagles. So I've got my belt to ash shirt on. I've got the Super
Nice.
Bowl hat. Main reason I'm doing this is one of our faithful few listeners, Trevor. He's a big Cowboys fan, so I know he's been
Oh,
wanting us and waiting for us to come back. And so, of course, since he's talked so much shit about us being away, Eagles beat the Cowboys. So sorry, Trev, had to wear it.
sucks.
But
Sucks.
how
Cowboys
did
did. I hate the Cowboys too, but man, they did look impressive. I got to say, Dak Prescott looked real good. I thought I'm a big NFL fan as well. That's what I've done with all of my free time over the last week. I've watched every single NFL game, Sunday all the way through. Watched Thursday and Friday. Watched Monday Night Football. Yeah, we're big NFL people. So
dude
right in, we'll tell you
every
how bad your team is.
yeah, yeah, every game was aired. I mean, I have the I use my dad's the what is it, the package that's
Package,
a,
yeah,
yeah, the whatever it's called. It used to be on DirecTV, but
it's
I
on
have
YouTube
that,
now.
and so I get to see everything. But the games I watched 100% from start to finish was the Eagles Cowboys game was
Great.
great. Pretty much typical rivalry. Started off from the get go with the spit and the back and forth, the ejections of players. You know, I think that probably is one of the all time rivalries in sports. And then to have it be the way it was really good. I could not tell because week one is so weird, right? It's, a lot of players don't play in preseason. Preseason's now a game shorter. And sorry, if you're listening to this for video games, we're going to talk about football for a minute. It's just me and Kevin are catching up. But, you know, the NFL, you have your tune-up games in college. Most college teams play a really shitty FCS school or whoever to start the season off, and the NFL, they have to iron it out. So during that game, I just could not tell, did the Cowboys really look that good, or did we look that bad, or was it both? And so I'm a little nervous about playing the Chiefs. That's kind of where it is Chiefs week, so I had to rub it in the little face of the Chiefs fans. But yeah, I'm not as high up on the Eagles as a lot of Eagles fans are. There's a lot of questions. I know you're a New England fan. How did the Pats fare this weekend? I actually did not. That is like the one team I didn't see.
They lost. There's a lot of things to iron out, I think. I don't know. I'm a little defeatist about it. I think we'll end up having a fine season. I think some Patriots fans think that we're gonna win 8 or 9 games. I think 6 or 7 games is probably more realistic for us. Who knows if Drake May goes off and starts playing really well? I think he's got a super high ceiling, but new system again under Josh McDaniels. I'm not the biggest fan of his offense. I think it's kind of old. I know he has success with obviously the Patriots and other quarterbacks, brought Mac Jones to the playoffs, all that. I'm excited about Vrabel. I just think it's going to take some time. Our roster stinks still. There's just no two ways about it. Like the roster blows. Stephon Diggs is nice. He's our one, but I think he'd probably be a high 2 somewhere else, coming off of the injury. But I'm slightly optimistic about the season. I'm not expecting too much though. I'm just excited to watch football
You
again.
had you had to talk all that shit for all those years on Jets fans, and now look at you. Now look
Oh,
at
we're
you.
still better than the Jets. Fuck the Jets.
they
We're
they
still
did look
better than
good
the
against
Jets.
Pittsburgh.
They
I will
looked
say that
great.
I was really hoping they would win that game against Aaron Rodgers. But anyway, I know this is a video game podcast, so we'll leave the football there at the doorstep. So what you got for us this week, man?
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about what I've been playing. I was away for a while. I think we're both going to talk about the Battlefield beta. We'll kind of save that for the end. Let me kind of bounce through what I've been playing. I've been playing a little bit more Donkey Kong Bonanza. I really like the game, but it's just not hooking me. It's really button mashy. I've gotten a couple of the powers now, and I just get tired of mashing all the buttons. I don't know if I'm old or what, but especially playing handheld, it just wasn't as fun on the plane. So I played a little Final Fantasy X, got a little further in that, and then really dove back into Bioshock Infinite. Played about, I'd say, 6 or 7 hours of that over the last couple of weeks. What a great game. It runs at 30 FPS on the Switch too. Still, it's not like there's not like an updated version for it, but it's rock solid. And when it first came out, correct me if I'm wrong, it was at 30 FPS. Like so, when I first played it, it was probably at 30 FPS when it launched.
Which game is that again? Sorry, I was
Bioshock,
look Bioshock Infinite
Bioshock Infinite. Yeah.
on the PS3. I want to say it was at 60 when it
Okay.
first came out. I mean, that was like 2011 or 13. I always get the years. Skyrim was 2011. I think 2013 was Infinite because it was the same year as GTA 5. But and it may have been at 30 on console. I don't know. I because I played that years later on PC, so I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. But I imagine so. That's like you're just playing it on the Switch 2, though, right?
Yeah, just playing it on the Switch.
Great
It's
game.
Oh man, it's a phenomenal game. The writing is superb. The gameplay is great. Obviously a little clunky playing in handheld mode, but it's really not that bad. The shooting is not super intense or anything. You got all the powers. I'm just having a blast with it. I think it's really really fun. Played New World Eternum, hit max level on that. Started on the expansion, so I'll be playing that in the background. I probably won't talk about it too much unless there's something major that I had to say. I played a little PvP, got my ass kicked in PvP, just not fun. And the match that I joined was like 50 minutes long of literally just me getting my shit kicked in. So I need a better build for PvP. That's kind of my next thing. But I do want to talk about Gears of War. I've been playing Gears of War on PlayStation 5. This is my
Xbox's best exclusive title ever. I'm
yeah.
sorry, it's not Halo. It's Gears of War. It always has been, in my opinion.
Yeah. I've played some Gears 2 and I played a little Gears 3. I've never finished any of the story or campaign on any of them. So I'm playing through on PS5 and I'm having a blast. It is old school gaming. It's just the controls are a little clunky, but it feels fun to play. I got a new soundbar a while ago and it honestly sounds fucking awesome on that thing. So I'm just playing through that. Honestly, when I couldn't sleep at 3 in the morning, I just went downstairs and played some Gears.
Yeah.
Had a blast. It's really fun. It's what I remember from gaming. I love third person cover shooters, so it's scratching that itch. The controls, like I said, they're a little clunky for sure, but uh, you know. For the $40 price tag, I feel like I'm getting a good value out of it. I know it hasn't sold that well on PlayStation. I read that the other day.
Which is
Um,
weird. Very surprising.
I I think the price point's a little high for it. I think it's probably better around that $30 to $25 mark, if I'm being honest, just because it does still have that dated feel to it, and paying $40 for. I was happy to do it because I want more Xbox games on PlayStation. I know they're all coming, but I mean, let's do a collection of Gears 2 and 3 next, bundle them together, and I'll pay 40 to $50 for them.
Yeah.
But I'm having a great time. It's fun.
Did you
You
touch the
know,
multiplayer yet?
no, I haven't. That's
No.
that's next. That's next.
So that's like all that I've done on it, and I'm not trying to jump between. But since that's like the one game besides the Battlefield beta since we've been away. I'll just dip real quick on it, not to say anything that you haven't said, but that's all I've done is because when that came out, that and horde mode and playing through Gears 1 and 2, those were some of the best times I ever had on the 360. It was like that game, those two games and World at War, COD World at War, just wasted hours playing those three games, Gears 1, 2 and World at War. So that's I downloaded it on PC Game Pass, was playing it on PC. Um, but with it being on PS5 and Gears, like I said, I know I'm going to catch hate because I think the Microsoft community at a large, it's Halo, right? And I respect that. And I do think Halo is their biggest franchise. I just personally think the Gears story, setting, characters, they're all more interesting. I couldn't tell you. I've played through every Halo game, and I probably could name 5 characters off the top of my head, but I can like go through and tell you like the story of the Locust and everything like that from Gears. I love it. So I may get that on PS5 just to go for the platinum. But yeah, that's that. I wanted to see if you've been playing the multiplayer because that's all I've played. I didn't touch the story at all because I'll get to what I've been playing. But yeah, I love that multiplayer in Gears of War.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive into the multiplayer a bit more and play that. I mean, at all really. I haven't played anything. I'll probably get my ass kicked, but I catch on pretty quickly with third person shooters. I'd say that's if I had to say if I could pick up a third person shooter, I can be pretty competitive. Just right off the bat, I've played so many of them throughout the years. But the last thing I wanted to give some updated Switch 2 thoughts. Spent a lot of time with it over the last couple of weeks. I really like it. I think the experience is very good. I think the fidelity is good enough. I'm excited to play some more third party stuff on it. I'm eyeing a potential cyberpunk entry there. Maybe want to play through cyberpunk. I know it'll be 30 FPS, but I something about maybe playing that in handheld on the couch while watching football is intriguing to me. So I'm trying to figure out what my football game is going to be, and I'll probably pick that up on the Switch just for now. But it could be Cyberpunk, it could be something else. But I'll kind of get there. I'm impressed with it. It's the battery life is pretty good. The It feels good to play. Yeah, it's not the most ergonomic thing you've ever held in your life. The Switch One isn't either, but it's not too heavy. So I know that the Steam Deck is heavier, but maybe more form fitting. On the plane, the kickstand was awesome. I brought I put the kickstand up and I put the Joy Cons in the controller slot, whatever the hell that thing's called, and I played that way. It was great. Big screen. Had no issues with it whatsoever. But let's go to you. Let's talk a little bit about what you're playing. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on finishing up Death Stranding, and then we can talk about Battlefield towards the end.
Yeah, I just to touch on kind of what you said about the Switch 2, every week that we talk, you're selling me on it. And I think eventually I will. I'm hoping that there's some sort of, Nintendo's pretty stingy about ever dropping prices of consoles. Now, we'll talk about PlayStation's going up in price and these tariffs and all the things that how it's affecting the console market. Who knows if there'll be really any sales around the holiday season, but that's what I'm waiting for. I'm going to wait until probably after Thanksgiving, see what anything, if anybody has even $50 off. I think I'm gonna jump at it. So I'm excited to play that, and just the potential of just one day, because it's like we talked about, right? Like Nintendo, you care about the software, and I think this thing is just powerful enough. It's going to be, a generation behind the PS6. There's rumors about that we're going to talk about. And it's going to be behind the next Xbox, if there is one or whatever. It won't be as powerful as those two things, right? But it's just powerful enough that where just the potential of having that Breath of the Wildish type Pokemon game is a fantasy for me to play that. And then what you could do with like a Mario Maker 3 or to see Metroid Prime 4 on this thing and to play that when that becomes available and to those are things that are selling me on it. It's Nintendo's library that is just so coveted of these characters that are just timeless, and hopefully the to be able to go back and maybe play some of these Nintendo 64 greats at a higher fidelity and frame rate, the potential for that. And I think if they take advantage of their library, which is extremely extensive, probably the most extensive between any of the three companies, um, the possibilities are endless. So the Switch 2 is super enticing to me. So I'm glad to hear you're having fun with it. I'm jealous. Still, just don't have the time to really kind of put towards getting that. But since it has been a while since we've recorded, I did finish Death Stranding 2. Um, man, I am having a really tough time to deciding what's my personal game of the year thus far. Is it Clair Obscur Expedition 33 or is it Death Stranding 2? I cannot tell you at this moment in time. But what I will say about Death Stranding 2 is I 100% unequivocally cannot stress this enough. Do not play this game if you have not played the first. Do not, at the very least, even attempt to play it without watching a complete story catch up and understanding the mechanics. It's just going to be so lost on you. And honestly, if you're really not a fan of anything Hideo Kojima's done, I probably wouldn't. If you've never played a Metal Gear game, especially, I would say probably at least Metal Gear Solid 1, 4, or 5. If you haven't played any of those three games, some of this stuff's going to be lost on you, and it's very, very weird. There's things in this, like if you thought Death Stranding 1 was weird, if you made it through that, this just takes it and it's basically all of his greatest hits wrapped up in one game. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but he's basically taken everything it's like his magnum opus of his weirdness, right? He took everything from every IP he's ever created, wrapped it up in one, and kind of vomited all out at you. And if you're not there for it, or you don't understand his games, the way his mind works, I'm not trying to be artsy fartsy, like, oh, if you don't get Hideo Kojima, but you do need to be familiar with his work. You definitely need to have played Death Stranding 1. Do not play this game if you have not played the first. And I mean, I'm talking about rolled credits. It's just going to be lost. It's not going to make sense. Hell, it barely makes sense to me. And I beat both of them. I still have it installed. I'd like to get the platinum on it. Does seem a little bit easier than Death Stranding 1, and I enjoy it more. Well, let me put it like this. I enjoy the gameplay more. Death Stranding 1 was a better game, because this just kind of feels like more Death Stranding with weirder shit and more toys in a sandbox. Death Stranding 1 was so just different of a game that I personally, the director's cut is what I played, and it's the better game, in my opinion. But I am, be that as it may, it's the best looking game I've seen on a console on base PS5 in performance mode. I cannot believe the resolution it attains. I cannot believe the performance it has. It's just beautiful. And that Decima engine and what Gorilla has done, it really, it makes me stoked for Horizon 3 or whatever else. If they bring Killzone back on this thing, this is a beautiful engine. So yeah, Death Stranding 2, been doing that. I don't really have too much to say, because two of the games I'm going to talk about, real quick, one game that is new, in between, I've been going through my backlog, but in between I did pick up Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. You know me, I'm a sucker for 2D platformers. I grew up an NES, SNES, Sega Genesis kid, and Castlevanias, Metroidvanias, they're my thing. The Messenger is one of my favorite video games of all time. Ninja Gaiden Ragebound is so fucking good. It's just hard enough that if you're good at platformers, it's not frustrating like a Mega Man 11, or hell, even the original Ninja Gaidens. I don't think it's as tough as those were back in the day, just because of the limitation on controls. But what they've done with the team, who is it? Game Kitchen. What they've done is so faithful to those original games. If you played the original Ninja Gaidens back in the day, I'm not talking about Ninja Gaiden 3 through the 3D area that was on the 360. The old school 2D platformer Ninja Gaiden games, this is phenomenal. And so I've only played about 6-7 hours into it, but it's a lot of fun. Excuse me. But the last thing I'm going to say before we get into the Battlefield stuff is I've been going through my backlog, and you saw me kind of smirk when you said you wanted to play Cyberpunk on the Switch. Man, our gaming minds are so much alike, because I was playing, I was like, what am I going to play? And I finished Death Stranding 2, and I was like, man, I really want to platinum The Witcher. And so I've been going back. I have a platinum run that I was working on that's like 40 hours into it, and I repicked it back up and made sure. And there's so many missable trophies in that game and Cyberpunk. But I was like playing it, and I was like, man, this is really good. And I was like, I need a palate cleanser from this open world 3D stuff that I went from Death Stranding and then into The Witcher. I loaded up on Steam. I created a corpo character because I was like, I haven't touched. And if you remember, like one of the last episodes we did before we left this podcast in hiatus back in 2020 was I had just finished Cyberpunk, and I bought it on Series X because that was the console I had at the time. And on Series X at launch, it was okay, right? I played a little bit of a Nomad character on PC after like the first year, and PC was much better, but I was like, I've kind of already played through this, so I don't really want to play it again. And now I was like, well, I'm playing The Witcher. I'm going to get this platinum, but I want something in between then. Well, Cyberpunk had like all these updates, and I was reading up on it, 2.3. I was like, I never played Phantom Liberty at all, never touched it. And so, So instead of playing through on PC, I was like, I wonder how this game runs on PS5. Just so happens it's on PlayStation Plus Ultimate right now. So I went ahead and downloaded it. Holy shit. Like, it gives me goosebumps thinking about, like, this is No Man's Sky level of redemption, what CD Projekt Red has done with this game. Because I really, like I said, I beat it when it first came out. I have not touched it really, because I played it like 65 hours to beat it the first time when it first came out. And it was so buggy, even on the Series X back then when it launched. This game and this team, it is phenomenal. And so now I haven't even touched The Witcher, and I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna get that platinum. But I'm making a platinum run on Cyberpunk. I'm about 48 hours in on a new Street Kid character, and I've bought Phantom Liberty. I'm almost at the part where I'm about to start Phantom Liberty. I looked kind of like when in the story is the best time to start that DLC, but I'm going for the platinum on it. And man, I don't think there's anybody that comes close to what old Bethesda or old BioWare or Obsidian does with RPGs than CD Projekt. Like, if you've played through The Witcher, even I love one and two, but they're such niche games. Witcher 3 is an amazing RPG, and it got me into the lore of that. I've read through most of the books, and we all know how great of an RPG that is. The choices, the builds, the things you can do in Cyberpunk 2077 are just endless. And I rushed that playthrough because I was like, it wasn't that great, right? But it was better than playing it on PS4 or Xbox One, because that was a disaster. But I have never seen a game that has this much attention to detail. Like, I'm so immersed in it that I'll slowly, like, take the stick and I'll just slowly kind of look around and walk around when I go into rooms, and the level of detail, and it's just insane. No wonder it ran like shit, because of how much they put into it and how many years. I think they started development in like 2015 and it came out in 2020. For how much time it took, and now to get it right at 2.3 where it is. And I think Phantom Liberty came out in December or something of 2023, right? Does that sound right?
Yes. Yep.
So
Yeah.
was it 24 or
Yes.
23?
Let
I
me look
think
it
it
up.
was
I
at
think
the
it was. Yeah, I think
end
it was
of
the end of 23.
23. But to go through that and is still update, like they added like a run another, like, more stuff to the romancing characters and the RPG elements of it, and there's more quests, there's more things. It is just a 10 out of 10 game. And I've beat it once, but I can't wait to see where this story takes me. And I'm paying attention. I'm reading all of the shit that I haven't done stuff like this since Fallout 3, where I'm literally paying attention to every little thing in the world that I pick up. I'm reading about the lore. It's got me. I really, me, I'm not into anime. There's a few that I like. I'm watching Edge Runners on Netflix right now because I'm so engrossed in this lore. And I have a buddy that loves playing D&D. I would love to play Cyberpunk and see how that is on the pen and paper version of that. Like, this world that they've created, I cannot say enough good things. So if you have ever passed on Cyberpunk, I know we try to be as topical as we can, and that's why I don't really want to talk too much about it, but it's just, I'm just floored at how phenomenal where they went from. Because I went back, I actually found, we never uploaded it because I just didn't like it. But I did a review, if you remember, of
I do.
Cyberpunk, because we were going to do reviews, and I read it, and because I found it saved on my computer, I would throw that in the shredder, because I would be like, this person has no idea what they're talking about, because the game has changed that much. And it is just, the shooting is so good. Like, even like on PC, because I remember playing on Series X, it did not shoot well. This feels like they were like, the way they've updated it, you would think this studio has made first person shooters their whole, like, career, because every gun fires differently, and when you invest points in the skill tree, and it's just crazy. So Hats off to CD Projekt Red. I can't wait for Witcher 4. I can't wait for another Cyberpunk. Keanu Reeves, is recently interviewed him like yesterday, and he said he would love to play Johnny Silverhand again, which, by the way, is probably, if you really get what this game is doing, it is, for one, it's fucking scary when you think about AI and the way technology is right now, where we're at. And in the lore, that's kind of when the world falls to shit, is in the 2020s. And um, it's kind of deep when you really, as someone who's worked in EMS and has been around people that have passed away and been surrounded by death, and like the questions that V has with morality. And there's a mission where Johnny and him are talking about, like, what is life and do you believe in God and all. It's just such a good game. And to go back and truly give it, I'm giving it the time that they wanted you to have, and I'm finally playing the game that they envisioned. And man, if I could go back and vote for game of the year, like to have it in there, it would be over Expedition 33 right now, because I just love it. I love this game. But yeah, doing that, and then Witcher 3, just I steadily chipping away, trying to get a couple platinum. So I probably, going forward on the next few weeks of podcasting, that's probably all I'm not going to talk about anything, because I'm just not, I don't want to play anything until I platinum these two games, at least single player wise. Multiplayer wise, there's a good game coming out next month, Kevin.
There is. I want to ask you. So I want to ask you a couple. I want to make some comments on some stuff that you said, because I think you really stated both of your thoughts on Cyberpunk and Death Stranding really eloquently. Can you give me, let's say there's someone listening that has no idea what Death Stranding is. Let's start there. They
Okay.
have no idea what Death Stranding is. Like you said, kind of, hey, if you don't know Kojima, right, don't play this game. Give me like a 60-second, here's why you should play the game. Like hey, we meet in an elevator,
You need me to
and
sell you this pin on Death Stranding? So,
sell me Death Stranding in 60 seconds.
um, if you're a fan of single player, third person action adventure games, Death Stranding 1 is a very unique game in the fact that it takes something very simplistic and turns it into one of the most breathtaking experiences you could ever imagine. One of the most artistic uh, experiences you could ever have in the medium that is video games. On face value and on paper, yes, it is a walking sim. But, and especially I would play the director's cut, because there is a little bit more combat and depth to it. If you strictly are all about action, and I have to do something to, get the dopamine kicking, you probably aren't going to like this. But if you are someone who likes to read a book for the journey and wants to see where it ends up, it gives you a sense of accomplishment that I think I've only experienced in From Software games. Not in that it's difficult, but when you're playing as Norman Reedus' character Sam, getting to a delivery point and overcoming physical obstacles, and then there's almost a survival horror element to it that can get kind of creepy. It depends on how scared you are of things, and what phobias you have, but it is just a very enthralling world and very original. Almost too much. But if you're someone that wants to play something that's not anything like you've ever played, I say give it a chance. And you may have to give it more than one chance, because I did. It took me 3 tries. And people are like, why would I try to play a game 3 times? I agree. It should not take you 10 hours to like a game. You should know within 2 hours if you're going to like something. This is not that game. And I say, if you want to experience something artistic, original, and unique, and that's not like anything else, play it and be in its world. It's like what I would say, and I know I went over the 6 seconds, so I'm done with that. That's my pitch, right? But games like that I think people should. I think people get too caught up in expectations. Um, No Man's Sky. If you go into that game and you play it for what they give you, you could that could be the only game you play. It's endless. What if you want to do what it has? Um, I'm excited. Cyberpunk has got me itching to see what Bethesda does with this possible PS5 update to Starfield because I liked Starfield. And if they can fix Starfield in a way to make it a little bit more interesting, I actually thought it was a good game and I'd like to play it again. And I think it's one of those games that I don't think people played it the right way because you do beating it one time, the story continues and more things happen. And I think people didn't do that. And they didn't. Is Todd Howard pretentious? Yeah, he is. I think he's more pretentious. I think he's more pretentious than Hideo Kojima, actually. But I don't think people gave Starfield the time it deserved. I don't think people really, when they played Cyberpunk, noticed the fine details. And I think you have to. What I've noticed about playing Cyberpunk is the thing about video games is it is art. And even though a lot of games like from software games, hack and slashes, or stuff like that, or even something like story narrative driven, like The Last of Us, it's easy to get lost in the sauce because not saying games that are so one dimensional are boring, but I think we kind of program our minds by playing the same thing over and over. You're not really, if you don't like, I don't like turn based RPGs. Guess what? I'm not crazy about them either. But holy shit, Metaphor ReFantazio and Expedition 33 are two of the best games I've ever played. And so I think when you play video games, you have to put yourself in what the developer wants you to do. Don't play a video game because of your own expectations. Play it because it appeals to you. Play a video game because you can have it. And that's what mindless shooters and things like COD and things, Madden, whatever you want to do to just waste an hour, that's fine. But if you're going to play one of these single player games, you really have to do what the developer wants, like Journey, right? All these games that are amazing. I think gamers are. I would hate to be a developer because expectations are just outrageous, and I think people want to play what they want and not what somebody else's art is. Sorry, I know that was a little long winded, but you just got me kind of in the feels of how I think you have to play a game for how the developer wants you to play a game.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think you can't force an experience to be what you want it to be. And Cyberpunk, I think, is a game that I need to get back to. Definitely. I know they have cross save now between all
Mm-hmm.
of the platforms. So if I buy it on Switch, I can kind of pick up my game. I did play Baldur's Gate 3 a good amount. I didn't put it in here. But that's a hell of an RPG as well. I'm at like the final boss basically. And some of those when you leave and come back to Baldur's Gate, those encounters towards the end of the game are really fucking hard. That you really have to use pretty much everything that you have at your disposal to
I
get
hate that
through.
bald fat necromancer. You know who I'm talking about. That boss fight sucked.
That boss fight does suck. But that's an incredible game. So yeah, Cyberpunk. I mean, my time is going to be taken up with Borderlands 4. That's an instant day one buy for me. I can't wait. I'm a big Borderlands fan. I have like probably 500 hours in Borderlands 2. I didn't love Borderlands 3, and I played the latest Tiny Tina's. It was good, not great, but I'm really excited for Borderlands 4. But let's jump into Battlefield a little bit. We both played this. I played probably 6 to 7 hours of the beta, so not a ton, but a good amount, I think, to get a feel on Battlefield. I think Battlefield was great. I really enjoyed it. I thought it felt really good. The maps were smaller, which I know we were kind of texting about it. You like bigger Battlefield maps. I like big Battlefield maps, but I also enjoy small Battlefield maps quite a lot. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I think the gunplay is really good. They're kind of bringing back that classic Battlefield feel. I just I think for my mindless shooter this year, I will be playing the finals as I kind of am always playing that in the background. I fucking love that game. It's just, in my opinion, the best shooter on the market, and I don't think anything comes close right now. I'll be playing the finals and I'll be playing Battlefield. I think that'll be the game that I pick up this year on PC and kind of play in my spare time. But we'll see, right?
Yeah.
We'll see.
We
I
say
think,
we're not, but we both have Game Pass. You know we're going to play COD at least once just to see it, just to
yeah,
see
I'll
how it is.
probably, yeah. If I don't have to pay for it, I'll probably download it and play it for sure. But I'm really liking the way it felt. I like the presentation. I like the I like the class system. I think the engagements were really fun. I've said the gunplay feels really good a couple times, but it does. It just feels better, I think, than 2042. I played that a few weeks ago just to get a feel of what that feels like and compare it to this Battlefield. It's night and day. This feels much better. The maps are better already, and it's beta. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts. I think Battlefield's going to have one hell of a year this year. I think people are really going to enjoy it. I think it'll actually hold a good player base, and hopefully, man, they can update this game and keep it pumping for the next couple of years while they get down and dirty and work on the next one. But what are your thoughts?
Man, I loved it. While you were talking, I kind of looked up. I was curious. I just hadn't even thought about how much time I'd put on it. I didn't really realize it was that much because I didn't. It was 2 open weekends, right? And so I looked on EA Play. I had 11 hours on the beta on PC, and I did try it on uh, PS5 as well, just to see. One thing
Oh,
that
cool.
just stood out from the get go is the performance. The performance I thought was very, very well for something that looks in which Battlefield. You know, what's funny is like they're so good at using that Frostbite engine um, for Battlefield games, but it like just is such shitty for sports games, with the exception of this year's Madden, which actually is really kind of cool. I'm not going to buy it, but it does look. I have liked how Madden looks. It looks like it plays a lot better than it has in years. Um, but the Frostbite engine, it's known for its beauty. Battlefield 5, I went back and it got me into Battlefield moves, so went back. I just like let's just go see how some of these games hold up, and one is still the best, I think, since four. I liked one a lot. Five is very, very fun now. That's the thing that sucks about Battlefield, right? And I think we touched on this the last time we talked was Battlefield games are never good at launch, and they're always amazing years later when nobody's fucking playing them. And so I think this one is going to be different. They did say they're going to fix some of the movement because it felt a little too there were some exploits people were doing, and it felt a little bit too COD like, I guess, for lack of a better word. So they said they're gonna make it feel a little bit more like 1 and 5's movement, with the ability to slide and things, which I think is good. I don't like having tactical sprint in it because that also makes it feel more like one of the more recent Call of Duties. I
I
did
hate
like the
tech sprint.
I did like the shooting. Yeah, I don't like tech sprint at all. I did like the shooting. I do think there needs to be some tuning because once you get certain attachments, some just laser, and that's the point of a beta, right? So I'm sure that'll all get lined out. People did bitch and whine about the size of the maps, and I kind of was at first, and then I realized, oh yeah, they've done this with every beta. They did this with Battlefield 4. They did it with 1. They did it with 5. They did it with Hardline. Which Hardline was nothing but tiny maps for the most part, but they don't ever give you the why would we give you the
Beefy.
meat and potatoes? You know what I mean? You're gonna have your appetizer, and then we'll give it to you when it comes out. And I'm sure some of those maps probably aren't even done. The thing that disappoints me was the leaked BR. That I don't know if did you see that video and what the map looks like, and it looks way too Warzone. Like Battlefield doesn't need this to succeed, especially how good the beta was and how bad like I think it's coming out at a perfect time. COD shot themselves in the foot, and now Battlefield is going to be boots on ground, somewhat arcadey mill sim, right? We're not going to have Beavis and Butthead running around shooting Ninja Turtles, and so. And did you see what Activision put out recently. They
The Probably not. What do they say?
they basically said, they put out a statement saying, we hear you, and we're
Oh
gonna
yeah,
it'll be a little bit more grounded in Black Ops 7. I'm like, yeah, grounded
I
in the
did see
future with jetpacks and stuff, real grounded. But anyway, that's beside the point. Maybe they won't, but they did say that no skins will carry over from Black Ops 6 to 7, except only to Warzone, and that's it. And so
I did see that. Yeah, and thank God. I just,
it's been
yeah,
too much. It's too much.
I
And
know.
I think they got Warzone. It's like I said, Warzone killed COD. They Blackout and BRs came out, and they were trying. Blackout was a lot of fun, and then Warzone came out and was trying so hard to kick Fortnite's ass that now they got lost in the sauce of Fortnite. And because of all the multiverse stuff that they're doing, they're trying to do the same thing but with more serious characters. We got Terminator and Raphael, and he looks pissed off and badass and cool. But then there's Nicki Minaj for some reason, and a Beavis and Butthead, and
Maybe
it's
some
just like,
butthead. Yeah.
what are we doing? And but I think Battlefield will be good, and I'm excited about it. I think it's got the most potential since Battlefield 1, because 4 is considered the GOAT. I think if they do this right, they listen to the fans, we will have a really good shooter to play. And that, and you had mentioned the finals, but I know you also want to play Arc Raiders too. Did that get delayed till next year, or is that still planned to launch?
No, that's planned to launch, and I will be all over that game.
Balls deep in Arc
I will be
Raiders.
all over that game. Cannot wait. They've released a few things, just kind of slow dripping information. They said they're kind of working on the sound and the audioscape of the game, which was already way better than anything I had
Yeah.
pretty much played. So I cannot wait for that game. It's gonna be huge. Yeah, it's gonna
But
be awesome.
before we get into the news, there are two games that, because like I'm going through backlog, I do want to touch base since it's topical, that are out that look amazing. And I wanted to get your two thoughts on it, on Chronos, The New Dawn, and Hell Is Us. Have you seen these two games?
I have. I don't know a ton about either. I've seen that Chronos looks what it's a survival game, and I've seen the reviews. I think it's sitting at like a 70 something on Metacritic.
It looks like a
Um,
love letter to every third person survival horror game you've ever played. It looks like Resident Evil meets Dead Space meets Silent Hill.
yeah, it's interesting to me. I don't think I'll play it. I would be more willing to play Hell Is Us. Um, we need more games like this, so I will probably pick Hell Is Us up just to support. Is it Bloober Team? Is Hell Is Us Bloober Team?
Is it Bloober? Did they do that? No way, right?
Publisher. I'm gonna look it up. Hell Is Us.
Rogue Factor. Rogue
Rogue
Factor.
Factor. I don't know where I'm getting Bloober from.
Well, Nacon, and I think they published something that Bloober did. But yeah, Hell Is Us is basically Death Stranding meets like a Bethesda game, I
Okay.
guess, because it has like dialogue options, and it's like Death Stranding meets New Vegas meets something else. Somebody else described it as something else. Like it looks cool. The combat, I I thought this was going to be like a third person shooter, and I guess it's more melee driven. And when I saw that, and I guess it's got the difficulties kind of soulsy, I was like, it just really, I'm unless it is a From Software game, I'm just like, do we have to do this? Does every game have to fucking have, the little dot targeting, dashing with melee? But the world and the lore looks interesting enough. I'll probably play it on discount. Chronos and New Dawn looks more my alley because I love survival horror. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure we talked about those, acknowledge those, because they both look good. I'm waiting for a sale on those. I don't think
Yeah,
those
I think
either
so
one
too.
of those are in it to anything that I'm. I hate saying this. Like, it almost feels disrespectful to develop. I'm not paying full price for that. But in today's economy, and I think we try to play as much as we can. there's so many other things that have came out this year and that are going to come out, like we talked about with Battlefield and Arc Raiders, and to take your time away from that. You know what I mean? Like you got to you put your money where your mouth is, and I think those games are going to do great. So, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure we talked about those.
I didn't really look into them too much just because I know Borderlands is here and I just know myself. That's gonna be I'm gonna be
Honestly, forgot
all
that.
over that game
I honestly forgot was that's like out like
Friday.
that this week, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
I can't
mean,
wait.
we have that in the news. You want to go ahead and go into that one first?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about Borderlands for a little bit. So, Randy Pitchford making news again with his tweet. And let me see if I can pull it up
Are you
here.
talking about the one where he said like a year ago, where he's like, "Don't buy it" or something?
No, uh this is what he said. The day one patch does a lot. That said, the expectation for using a below minimum spec machine, which I'll go over here in a second, should be that the game is unplayable. That the game runs at all on your system is a miracle. That you can get 50 to 60 FPS out of heavy combat is actually incredible, given how the engine and what's going on under the hood. Your specification doesn't indicate whether you're on SSD or HDD, but that could also explain some of the hitching. It's bold, big, new, seamless world, and I'm sorry that older hardware may not be providing buttery smooth performance for the latest gen AAA games, as that has always been the case since the dawn of PC gaming. Now, to add some context here, Borderlands 4 system requirements. So the minimum requirements is going to be an Intel i7 9700 or an AMD Ryzen 7 2700X, 16 gig of RAM, graphics card, an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2070, or the AMD Radeon RX 5 5700 XT.
And that's for minimum. That's probably for like 1080 30, I would
They
assume.
don't specify that on here, and that's part of the problem here is that so for the minimum and the recommended, which of course is like 32 gigabytes of RAM, a Ryzen 7 5800, your a 3080 and a 6800 XT, it says recommended, but they don't tell you if it's, kind of like classic, whether it's, hey, to run this at 1440 60 or 4K 60, or so we don't know.
Gotta wait for that digital foundry.
I'm a little worried about performance on this.
You should be.
I definitely think that performance on PlayStation 5, I think we're going to have some drops, and that's where I prefer to play Borderlands. That's a couch game for me. I like to play that downstairs on my big screen, and I've got the Pulse controller, whatever the fuck it is, with the back buttons on my PlayStation 5, and that's where I like to play that game. But I mean, I've got a 3070 Ti, and I'm, below kind of their recommended specs here. I'm kind of worried. I don't know whether it's, I mean, obviously Unreal Engine 5 has been having problems. We can kind of talk about Metal Gear Solid as well here with the performance, but I mean, do I agree with Randy Pitchford here? He always says things in a really kind of fucking weird way,
He's
you
such a
know?
douchebag.
But, like, he's right. This is a modern AAA game that is going to require you to not play on, a 1070 Ti or whatever,
He
right?
just doesn't know how to say shit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
What he should say is, "Hey, guys, this is a big, bold AAA experience, open world. We've been working on this for a long time. It's incredibly, technically advanced. Yeah, you're gonna need a good rig to play this game. Not a great rig, but a good rig, if you wanna play this on PC, and I don't know how the fuck the Switch 2 is gonna run this.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's coming out. I mean, they delayed it, so it's coming out, like, a month later. But regardless, this is probably unless the thing runs like absolute garbage, it's a day one buy for me. I'm hoping that they
It looks
release.
great.
Oh,
I'm
it's gonna be
watching.
awesome.
Sorry, I'm watching the trailer, the last gameplay thing that they revealed. I didn't play 3. Did you?
I did. Yeah, I played it and beat it, and I started playing it again. I put another 15 hours into it in the last couple months. The shooting feels amazing in 3. It just
Really.
plays really well. The story stinks, like
Which
awful. The writing
I
stinks,
mean, I
but
just
man, it's fun to play.
I never cared about the story in 1 or 2, and that's why I don't understand like where this came from. That they were these groundbreaking, like that was like the big hitch about 3 and Tiny Tina's, right? It was like I heard Tiny Tina's, like if you like high fantasy stuff, that's really cool. And
It is.
because Tiny Tina first had a DLC in 3, right?
Yes.
That's where
2
her or 2, that's right, 2. And then the game, it's not DLC for 3. It was its own spin-off kind of thing, correct?
standalone. Yep.
They I really need to play. I've only played 1 and 2. And I loved Borderlands 1. 2
Just play
was
4.
you think I could totally skip 3?
You will have no reason to play 3.
Because I have it, I got it on Epic Game Store if it was one of their free games, and so I have it. I just never touched it. Um, but yeah, 4 looks phenomenal. The shooting looks good. This is probably for me going to be a game that I once again wait for sale. I'm not into the universe like you are. Probably you're probably going to get a day one. Um, as far as the specs go, my PC will be fine in doing it. But like you said, I want to see. I'm going to wait and see the reviews because I base how, especially in this day and age with Unreal Engine 5, like the fact that Metal Gear Solid Delta PS5 base version runs better than the Pro, and PCs just all over the place. I haven't even bought it, and you know me, I love Metal Gear Solid 3 is one of my favorite games of all time, but I have not bought that, and so yeah, I are. What do you think about UE5, man? Like, is so many people I've seen online that are keyboard warriors that don't know shit about developing blame it's the developer. They're not having the time with this hardware to do it. And I'm like, first of all, how the fuck do you know, really? You know, even if you know shit about how UE5 works, how do you know really? Um, it seems like every fucking game that is made on this engine is terrible at performance. What are your thoughts? Like, what do we? How does it? How? Let me ask you this: what are your thoughts on all that? Is it? Do you think it's the engine? Do you think it's, or is it such a beefy engine that these? Is it time constraints? You think developers need more time, like a kind of like a cyberpunk situation, or is it the proprietary engine itself? Does Epic need to step in and do something about this? And while you do that, I'm going to look up and see if Epic has said anything on it.
Yeah, I'm of two minds. I think that developers probably haven't figured out exactly the best ways to work in Unreal 5, but I also think that it should be much easier to work in Unreal 5. I mean, when Unreal 4 was new, the so part of the big issues with Unreal 5 is that the stuttering is just horrible. In just about every game there is stuttering on Unreal 5. Even if it runs at like a smooth frame rate, you're going to get stutters and you're going to get some drops. It's a gorgeous engine. I think there's a lot of games that look really beautiful that are built on Unreal 5, no doubt about it. I just think that from a performance standpoint, it's not up to snuff. And I do think Epic needs to do something about this. I think they need to step in and help fix the engine, give some sort of resources to these devs. These poor devs, man, they're working their ass off to create these games, and the performance is lackluster. The games look great, and when you put screenshots up on a board to pitch to whoever the fuck, I'm sure it looks awesome, and people are all for it. And you see these trailers, and I don't know if James Bond First Light is also in Unreal 5. Google that really quick because that was another one where they had a gameplay reveal. I don't know if IO uses that, if they use
It's
like
it's
some sort of
it's it's the one. It's going to be the same engine that they use for Hitman. It's the Glacier engine.
Glacier. Okay. Because that had performance issues too. A game looks awesome, but I mean, fucking, they did a 37-minute thing and the performance was abysmal, right? But you're seeing these consoles, they've been out. PlayStation 5 has been out for a long time. The new
We're
Xbox has been
coming
out
up
for
on
a long
6
time.
years, and that
Guys, we
that feels
know how
weird to
these things.
say, but
Yeah.
yeah, 6
We
years in a
know
life
how these
cycle.
things perform, and
Yeah,
they perform great. You just talked about how beautiful Death Stranding was on the Decima engine, right? why are these games so why are the performance on these games so lackluster? I don't understand. It's disappointing.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I'm with you. I don't. So I found this is from Game Rant. This is Daniel Morris published this on August 30th. Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney has responded to criticism of Unreal Engine 5's optimization, which is becoming an increasingly conscientious topic of late. The Epic Games boss has seemingly suggested the issue lies in the hands of developers optimizing their games too late. In recent years, Unreal Engine 5 has grown in popularity. However, with its with its ease of use and vast wealth of resource, making it a great choice for devs big and small. However, this has not come entirely without controversy. There are a plethora of high-profile Unreal Engine 5 releases that have suffered performance issues on various platforms, leading to a negative sentiment around the powerful engine in the gaming communities online. Epic Games CEO says developers are optimizing games too late. As reported by Pure Xbox, Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney suggested at a roundtable interview in South Korea that individual developers are to blame. The primary reason why Unreal Engine 5 based games don't run smoothly on certain PCs or GPUs is the development process. Many developers develop games for high end hardware, then perform optimization and testing on lower spec devices in the final stages of development. Of course, optimization is by no means an easy task. It's a very challenging one. Ideally, optimization should be implemented early in development before full scale that's fucking ass backwards, but I'll get to that statement in a second. There are plenty of Unreal Engine 5 games with great performance, so the engine isn't fundamentally broken. Where are the plenty of Unreal Engine 5 games with great performance? That said, Sweeney did confirm that Epic is looking to solutions to help with this going forward. One is to give developers automated optimization features for various devices. Yeah, I'm sure that'll fix it, making the process faster and easier. So he literally just said they're not taking enough time to figure it out. So we're just going to make it faster for them. That's contradictory. And then what was the thing that really pissed me off when he said, many game developers develop games for high-end hardware, then perform optimization testing on lower spec devices in the final stages of development. It's a very challenging one. Ideally, optimization should be implemented early in development. What video game ever in the history of developing games ever has focused on optimization at the beginning? You can't do that. Like, I'm not even a developer, and that's just common sense. Like, I can't optimize something before I design it. And I think technology has come leaps and bounds, and we'll talk about the PS6 here in a moment, but I think we're hitting almost a cap, right? Like a soft ceiling of, and I think you're seeing it with the Pro. To me, I know you have one, right? You have the Pro?
I do not.
You do not.
No.
Okay. But you would if you could, right? Or you probably would have got one. I I don't know, and I mean I would take one, but I don't see the point of going from a PS5 to a Pro when I own a PC. I don't even know if all I played was PS5, if I would see the reason to go from a PS5 to a Pro. So I think we're hitting a cap in where we're going to be as far as graphic fidelity, just pure fidelity. I think they're going to tout things like 8K and all this bullshit. Remember, they tried to say that the PS5 was going to be 4K 60 FPS native on everything, and we have not seen that at all ever. I don't even think there's a single game that's 4K 60 FPS native in its entire library. I don't think that exists.
Nothing that's AAA.
No, 100% no. There's not. And so I think the problem is the engine is possibly unoptimized, and also I think publishers, uh, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Not stockbrokers, but when people, I'm not right.
Shareholders?
Shareholders. Thank you. I think shareholders and publishers are making games too fast. I think that was the problem with Cyberpunk. I think a lot of games, because of the technology, because we're at a higher pixel count, right? You know, you hear of 16-bit gaming, that's because it had, 16-bit graphics, and the amount of pixels were not that large. Now it's like millions of pixels in one like tree, right? I think you need to take more time. And unfortunately, shareholders and publishers and money gets involved, and we're seeing that probably maybe there was something wrong with the Last of Us factions. Maybe the performance wasn't there. We don't know, but there's been tons of canceled games that we have heard about where performance possibly being a factor, but they just don't show it. There's tons of games that are canceled that you're never going to hear about because they don't want you to don't have faith in their next product, right? And so I think that's twofold: is gamers and shareholders and publishers are too they don't have enough patience to give the developer the time that they need. Um, I think GTA 6 is going to look and run as best as it can, and I think we're going to be not giving a fuck about 30 FPS because it's probably going to be smooth 30 to 40 probably, and great quality and level of detail. And it's had over what 13 years of development time by the time it comes out, and so they're one of the people that can do that. They can take that time. They have the money. It's going to be the most expensive game ever made. Not every developer has that luxury, and so it's. I'm. I think. I think also games are too big sometimes, right? Like,
Definitely.
do you need to have this map that has to one up the open world game that came out before it in the same style? Do you have to have all of these uh, bits and pieces? Does it have to be 80, 90, 100 hours long? You know, we can still get good 10 to 15-hour experiences. And so I'm curious to see how long Borderlands is. I'm assuming it's going to be long, but yeah, what are your thoughts? Like, do you think it's do you do you agree with anything Tim Sweeney had to say, or are there bits and pieces? What do you think?
I think they're all pointing fingers at each other. And I
Yeah,
think the reason that they're pointing fingers at each other is because at the end there's something up with the engine. And I just don't think that developers are stupid. I like that's hard for me to believe. It's easy for me to believe that uh that Epic would want to blame somebody else
right.
over their engine. I don't I mean the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. Games are too big, they're too long, they're too expensive. We know this. Developers are under insane pressure to be able to meet deadlines and to be able to not delay games. And there's a fiduciary responsibility that all of these people have to shareholders. So there's that too. I think the performance on Borderlands will be interesting. I think you'll probably I mean, fuck, I don't care. If it's 1440p 60 on PS5, that's fine with me. Even if
Right.
you have to drop it down to 1080p, I just want a solid 60 frames on my shooters. That's what I care about most. Hopefully they can get really close to 4K, but we'll see. I don't know.
I
I
mean,
am a little worried. There's a day one patch that's supposed to be coming out that's going to, as he said, hey, listen, the day one patch is big. So I'm wondering if reviewers playing the game early, if they don't have that day one patch, what that looks like. So
is there a big embargo that's not are they not letting reviews out until this game is out?
I don't know when the embargo is up. Let me see. Is that usually Googleable
It should
embargo
say, because
or
I mean there should, if the game comes out this week, Borderlands 4 reviews, there should already be reviews for it.
yeah, Borderlands 4. Let me see. It lifts today, Wednesday. Okay,
Reviews
so it
will
lifts
go
on Wednesday.
live on September 10th.
That's tomorrow.
So, and the game releases Friday. Huh.
So that's normal. About 2
Yeah.
days
Yeah.
before.
I think that's, yeah. So I don't know.
Um, oh, I'm excited for that though.
It,
Yeah,
but at the
I'm
same time,
excited for Borderlands. Not about.
it's cell shaded graphics too. And I'm not a developer, but I'm like, I mean, Randy, Tim, I think we can kind of be like, this isn't Death Stranding, you know, this isn't something that has groundbreaking. It looks good. It looks good. I
Yes.
like the art style, but let's pull this back. This isn't photorealism here. And my thing is, if it can hit 60 on anybody's, I think 60 for non multiplayer games, whether it's on PC or console, if we're at 1440, and we can hit 60 on either one, that's fine. That's totally acceptable. I think Metal Gear Solid Delta running at 30 FPS at 1920 by 1080 on 30 to 50, I think 57 was what Digital Foundry was showing on like a 3090 1080 at 30 on a 39. Are you fucking kidding? That's egregious. And I have tinfoil hat about this, and I haven't heard anybody in the industry talk about this, but this is why I wanted to include. Um, so they found, you can look this up. They found assets in the PC version of the original Metal Gear Solid 3 character models, background, like, so basically like someone could make MGS3 and mod it and they make their own game from the ground, like, you know what I mean? Like remember what was that game that came out that was like a Roman Empire game that used Skyrim's assets? Do you remember that? It
Oh
was a
my
couple,
god.
you know what I'm talking about, right?
I do know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So basically, essentially, someone could do that. But what nobody is saying, why are those files in Delta? And I have been saying ever since I saw the first trailer of Metal Gear Solid Delta, this is not built from the ground up. They took the assets and they put a new coat of paint on it. That's why it performs almost, if you look at Metal Gear Solid Delta to 3, like the Xbox 360 version that was a subsistence that added the third person behind the shoulder, because originally majority of Metal Gear Solid 3 on the PS2 was top down, right? Yeah. Subsistence added the behind the shoulder camera. This looks like it literally took the assets and just put a new coat of paint over it. And they may have tweaked a few things here and there. I don't think Konami worked that hard on this at all. And that's why it runs like shit, because it's assets on top of assets and it's not running good. And I have not seen anybody, that's just my own take on it. I haven't seen anybody talk about it, but I'm like, is nobody noticing that most remakes change something? They're not that close to the source material. Resident Evil 4, even, right?
Yep.
Something is wrong where I'm like, I don't think that they worked as hard as they're wanting us to think that they did on this thing. And that's why I don't think you're going to get like, if they do Metal Gear Solid 1 and it plays different, then we can have that talk. But for now, to me, Delta looks like it literally is just a new coat of paint on old assets.
Yeah. It very well could be.
But
I
maybe not. I haven't seen it, but that's just my tinfoil hat thing. I just don't trust Konami ever
I
since
don't trust
everything that
Konami
happened.
either.
And
Yeah.
I wish Sony would buy Castlevania, because it's so sad that one of the greatest IPs is just laying there.
Locked. Yeah, it's locked away.
So
I know. Well, all right, let's move on to some of the PlayStation news. Talking about PS5, there was a price increase that was announced. So the base PS5 with a disk drive will rise in cost by $50. So it will be $549.99. The digital edition will also be raising by $50. So that will be at the $499.99. And the PS5 Pro will raise to $749.90. Similar, and this is a quote from Sony's VP of Global Marketing. Similar to many global businesses, we continue to navigate a challenging economic environment. As a result, we've made the difficult decision to increase the recommended retail price of PlayStation 5 consoles in the US starting on August 21st. So the cheapest PlayStation 5 that you could buy was at launch. That is crazy.
6 years into its dev cycle. Thanks a lot, MAGA. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. Don't turn me off. Don't cancel me. Just making a fucking joke. It's just a joke,
But yeah,
but
the
it's
tariffs
probably
are
true.
definitely fucking this big time. I mean, listen, I think the market is what it is. We just saw Nintendo do this. Xbox raised it by $100, right? Like they raised it, I think, even more than others. So it's happening. It's here. Things are going to be more expensive. Sucks. I mean, I definitely, if I was in the market for a pro at 700. I am definitely not at 750. So, sorry, Sony. I won't be doing that. I will upgrade my GPU before I do that, and I will wait for the PS6. That's how I feel about it. Anything interesting to say about the price increases? I feel like we know that this was coming.
I think, and then I'll just say this real quick because I agree with you. And yeah, the economy is kind of just fucked right now in general. And I'm not going to get political. That was 100% a joke. I'm not. This is not a political podcast. Um, so I'm not even going to touch on any of that space. But you know, things are more expensive. And what is funny to me about this, just to lead into what you're going to talk about next, more than likely, is they just shot themselves in the foot of me ever wanting to get a pro, because it's like I said, I'm going to wait for the 6, because I guarantee you, I'm going to tell you right now, from what we're hearing about the PS6, you said 749.90 for the
It
pro.
was, yes. So basically 750,
Is but
$750.
it was 700 when it first came out, right?
Yes.
And so it's increased by $50. I guarantee you the PS6 um, will be 699 for. I'm gonna
My hot
say
take is
I'm gonna say my hot take is it's gonna be 699 for its best version, or 750 for its best version. Okay,
I think it's going to be less.
I don't think it's gonna. Well, yeah, and I don't think it'll be more than 750. We'll get into the PS6 rumors here in a minute, but I don't think the best version of, if there's 3 SKUs, will be more than $750. And so why the fuck they're doing this is just, it's just shooting themselves in the foot. And it's almost like, why even make the pro? Why did you even make it when you, especially when you're looking at games, and because of the longest of development cycles? We talked about how, you know, Kojima once was quoted on that nobody ever gets the best out of every console. That, you know, Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 looked amazing, but he didn't even push the PS2 to its limits because of development time. So yeah, I think the PS4 Pro was justifiable just because of its price point, but did it really change that much of a PS4? Not really. I think some games did benefit, and I liked it. I played it more, um, but it also was only it. The PS4 Pro, if I remember right, was the launch price of the PS4 by the time it came out. This is just crazy to me. And so if you didn't get one now, I probably would hold off until you get a PS6.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. I would love a pro. It just doesn't feel like I mean, why would I do that? It's too much. And there are other things that I can buy, and I mean, I will upgrade my GPU, my CPU on my PC before I do that. But I do want to talk here about the PS6 rumors. The first is that the PS6 handheld device that could be docked like a Nintendo Switch. So we have yet to hear anything official about the PS6. This comes from Push Square, and it's supposed handheld companion device, but there's been a lot of hearsay and leaked information from a recent video from YouTube channel Moore's Law is Dead. They claim to have seen up-to-date documentation from tech company AMD detailing the specs of the PS6 handheld unit, codenamed Canis Anus. The the device will apparently be
Yeah,
dockable,
there won't
much
be
like
memes about
Nintendo
that.
Switch, much like Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch consoles. It is believed that the PS6 handheld can be docked and connected to a TV or monitor and may offer better performance when docked. The video is dense with technical information. Check out the video if you're a tech nerd. I want to talk about this, and I want to talk about how this next article here from Push Square as well. These are all rumors, but they're pretty reliable rumors. The PS6 will have a detachable disk drive and a much simpler design. In the era of soaring hardware costs, Sony is working overtime to keep down the price of PlayStation 6. The company knows that it needs to actually get the console into consumers' homes if it's to repeat the success of PS5 and PS4. It's not going to achieve that with a $700 plus system. There's already been reports of the Japanese giant maybe eyeing a range of hardware models, including a portable with all with different specifications aimed at different audiences. Now, the reliable Inside Gamer reports that the manufacturer has settled on a detachable disk drive, which is a feature it also introduced during the PS5 generation. They want to try to keep costs down. They are aiming for a much simpler design than its predecessor. The goal is for the company to make the size and weight as low as possibly can, reducing costs on storage and shipments. So, in fact, on the back of reports about an upcoming PS5 Slim version, which will reduce the amount of SSD space included, Insider Gaming adds that this new model will reduce the weight of the console, saving the manufacturer a few pence per shipping unit. So there's a couple different things here. I want to zoom out and create kind of a 10,000-foot view here of what we're looking at and what the rumors state. Three different PlayStation 6 consoles. You're going to have Beefy Boy, you're going to have Handheld Boy, and you're going to have Little Boy. And that is basically how they're going. They're going to pull the Xbox model. And I
All
think
I can think about is like Hiroshima and uh, they're gonna use the tariffs to drop the PlayStation 6s on the US soil now. Sorry. Go ahead.
I don't like there being 3 SKUs. I think a handheld and a beefier console is the way to go. If you split the player base into
Yeah.
3 and you have to develop for 3, I think it's gonna be a bad idea, but I do understand them. They have a major issue right now. There are so many people still playing on PlayStation 4. So many people. So they needed an entry level console to get those people from PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 6. And I think that lower end PlayStation 6 will be maybe just a little bit more powerful or very similar to a PlayStation 5 Pro. That would be my guess. Your PlayStation 6 is going to be your higher end console, and I think your handheld is going to be your middle range, maybe towards the lower end of performance, but you're going to get that handheld experience. Sony handhelds, in my opinion, are the best. I love all of their handhelds. They're amazing. I will definitely be buying a handheld and probably whatever the beefier console is. But I think when you're looking at how they're going to be able to develop across now PlayStation 5 Pro, and then 3 potential PS6 consoles, I think it's gonna be really difficult, to do that and to get the most out of the performance for all of these. The rumor is that the handheld will be closer to like a PS5 performance is what they're saying. There's something that they introduced called energy mode or something, energy saver mode, and kind of people are speculating that that is Sony's way of beta testing the handheld performance and what games look like on it. I don't know how much I read into that or not, but I think a handheld Sony would, PS6 console would be awesome. Like I said, development's going to be really tough on these bad boys, but as far as the keeping the price down and kind of using cheaper materials and making them smaller, I'm all for it. The PlayStation 5 is fucking huge.
Right.
I don't see it at all. It's in
It's
my
ugly.
it looks awful, and probably the worst looking console ever.
You know what's funny
And
is, do you remember when we live streamed the reveal and we were like, "Oh, that looks so cool! It looks like a PC." And then it's like when you get it and you put it in you're like, "What the fuck am I supposed to do with this thing?" You can't put it in an entertainment center. Like I had to buy a specific coffee table now to lay mine flat so I don't leak out the liquid coolant and ruin
yep,
my thing. But yeah, anyway.
yeah, it's the design sucks and it's huge. So man, if they can cut costs and keep this thing smaller, I'm all for it. I think that'll be great. Get this thing as cheap as possible. They need to. And I think if they really want to kill the competition in Xbox, they need a cheap console that people can buy and play with their friends and Mortal Kombat finish them type style to Xbox. So I think that's what they're going. I think they're going for the jugular. I think it's a smart idea to have cheaper consoles. I think from a development perspective, it's going to be really difficult and I think it's going to be less than great to be able to explain to consumers which one they should buy and which one they shouldn't buy. We saw Xbox Series S is outsold the Series X by like what is it? It's like 6 to 1 or something
Yeah.
insane like that. So people will pick up the cheapest version of this, which I think is actually what Sony wants. I think they want people to buy the cheaper version and grab them by the horns and just keep them on PlayStation forever. But I'm excited about PlayStation 6. I think it's going to be cool. The handheld is specifically interesting to me, but when you think, I mean, how do you see this affecting development cycles? Are you excited? And what do you think about there being potentially 3 SKUs?
To unpack it one by one, I guess. Am I excited? Yes and no. Because even though, yeah, it's going to be next fall will be 6 years that the PS5 launched. And it doesn't, COVID fucked everything up to where it doesn't feel like that much passage of time has occurred. But so, on the sense that I'm like, am I excited for it? I guess in the sense that new console, new thing, and I probably am at the point in my life where it's going to be PC, PS5, and if this thing has I've got the portal behind me there. If this is native running and it's like a Switch, let's see what they can do. But is it just me, or has this generation all we've gotten is let's just think Sony, right? Let's just talk about PlayStation for a minute. We haven't got what felt like a true generation life cycle of games, AAA games, right? We got Ragnarok, we've got Yote coming out, Yotai. Uh, you had Spider-Man 2. Um,
But these were cross-gen. Some of these are cross-gen games too,
right. And
right?
then
So it
so
feels like sometimes we didn't get full PS5 exclusive games that are utilizing every aspect and power from first party like we normally expect, right?
yeah, like the PS4, and then like the PS3 sucked at first, right? But god damn, that generation was so long. Like I think most console cycles are like 5 to 7 years. I think the PS3 and 360 almost hit 10. But it just doesn't feel like we've gotten our bang for our buck. And I third party has saved third party developers have saved Sony because um they came out, they kicked Microsoft's ass, and third party games have really saved and put Sony in the position that they're in. And now Microsoft's ate up all the competition, but now Gears and other things are coming to Sony. So I don't think Sony has anything to be worried on that front as far as console wars. Um it just feels a little like almost like already? Really? Already? You
Yeah.
just launched the PS5 Pro this year. And so, or was that last year?
It
24.
was no, when was the actual release? We're coming up. It's pretty close.
I think it
Um,
was like one of those things where it's end of the year 24, maybe going into
it was
25.
November 7th, 2024.
Okay, so yeah, like, but nobody could get one, right? And so, uh, and then to think about, so this thing, obviously, number one, it exists. Whether these rumors are true, whether it's 3 SKUs, we know somewhere at Sony is a dev kit of the PS6 of and how it is going to function in its final form. It may not look like it, but under the hood is probably what you're going to get, right? When you purchase it, right? That technology is there. Something like the SSD, maybe the processor might get somewhat finangled and uh, changed before launch, but for the most part, it exists. And so I'm sitting here at September 9th, 2025, thinking about where we're at, what we just talked about with technology and graphical fidelity and all these things. It's not, I think you're right. Like, it's not going to be that much more powerful than a PS5 Pro. I don't even think it's probably going to be on par with what I have in my PC right now. And I just switched to AMD, so don't ask me what graphics card I have because I can't pronounce it because it's so long. It's not like a 3090, but it. I don't know. Like I feel like it's a little too soon, and I bet this thing launches what holiday 27.
Yeah,
I
that's
bet.
what I would assume.
I don't think we're getting it next year. I think it's holiday 27, and then you'll get. What sucks is now you're gonna get the PS6 Cyberpunk, the PS6 GTA 6, the PS6 Red Dead. Um, that's the thing that sucks about games today is we don't have enough time to develop new shit. So let's just go remake everything, and I don't want to spend that kind of money on a remake machine. And that's just where the industry as a whole feels like we're at. And
I
then,
think
sorry, go ahead.
no, I said I think games like Intergalactic, right? That will probably launch end of PS5
It'll be on both.
into, and it'll be on both. They'll do
It won't.
something very similar to The Last of Us.
It won't come out until PS6, I bet, and it'll be on both.
Yeah, I don't know where that game's at, but I think I think your 2027 holiday is probably spot on. Yeah, continue. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No,
I
you're.
just kind of wanted
It's
to.
just kind of. I don't know. I'm just so whatever about this, and maybe it's because I've been playing primarily on PC. Like it's so weird that like my PC just blows my PS5 out of the water. I would have a much better time playing Cyberpunk on it, but I don't care about Steam achievements. Nothing excites me when I that little tiny little blue and gray thing in the bottom right corner of my PC screen. I don't even notice it. But there's something about the shiny ding. I like getting trophies. I just do. I
Oh
don't,
yeah,
and I will platinum games that I like. I platinum Elden Ring. I platinum Bloodborne. If I really like a game, I'm gonna go platinum it. I will try to play that on PlayStation. So I hope it's more powerful than my PC. I hope it's way more powerful than a PS5 Pro, but I don't think it will be. Now, as far as the three SKUs thing, you said something, and it really made me think. Where I was like, because Xbox did divide the player base. And we talked about how detrimental that was for them. Sony isn't Microsoft. More people are going to play on Sony than they are. And when you said that it's going to work in their favor, I was like, damn, it really will. And
yeah.
more people will buy the cheaper version, like they did with the Series X. But the problem is, that's not what Microsoft wanted. And that's exactly what I think you're right. A nail on the head. That is what Sony wants. Me and you are going to get fat man, beefy boy. We're going to
Gonna get
get
beefy
that.
boy.
But they're making it for the average gamer buys COD and Madden and a few other things and Fortnite and a lot of free to play games and the big market in Japan is all the stuff that we kind of view as shovelware like Genshin Impact and all these kind of games as a service things. Um, those are your average fan base gamers, and this is going to appeal to them because it's going to be a lower price point. And um, we're heading into I put your politics aside. I don't care if it's a Republican officer or a Democrat. I think they're both retarded. And that sorry, I
Yeah.
can't say that word, but the economy is kind of screwed either way, right? Like I don't think anybody's going to make anything better. We're going to see costs just continue to rise. That's just been a trend. That's why the cost of living is higher everywhere across the board, and it's as a whole, you're not going to see that change. And so people are going to go for the more cheaper value where they can put their money. Like to me and you, we're going to get more value out of the beefier thing because we are enthusiasts. We like to buy everything when it comes out. But if you're not in it to win it, if you're not in it to play every single AAA game, if that's not your style, then yeah, you're going to go that way. And so these subscription services like Game Pass and I think that needs to be like where your indie space is, right? Because um the AAA service, I think it does like it hurts the developer. And I'm kind of rambling, but I don't know, like I think you were right. It's going to work in Sony's favor to where the Series S didn't. And I was like, don't have an S model. Don't split the player base. But I'm like, it's not going to matter. People, the console to buy is going to be the Sony console, especially now because Microsoft is putting their games on there. Um, man, honestly, if I was Microsoft, I'd be like, yeah, we fucked up. We shouldn't have done that. We shouldn't have put our games on there. If I was Microsoft, I'd be like, fine, put everything on there. Put Game Pass on PS5. That's going to be your way to make money. Because if you can get Game Pass, I guarantee you Phil Spencer wants Game Pass on PS6. Like I guarantee there is somewhere in talks and behind closed doors. How do I get Game Pass on Switch 2 and PS6? I don't give a shit about. We're gonna make our ROG Ally X. We're gonna make the next Xbox probably. But I guarantee
That
you,
ROG Ally X rumored to cost like $1,000. Did you see that?
no,
I
I
almost put it
didn't.
in the news.
I thought we talked about that. That it was only going to be like 700. They change.
I think the latest rumors are that it could be over $1,000 for that thing.
I would not like. I'm afraid. I want to drop that damn thing. I'm not buying a handheld for $1,000. But then again,
Holy,
we walk around with $1,000 handhelds every single day. So,
yeah, we do, we
but
do.
that's why they're covered in otter boxes and screen protectors. Yeah, that's crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah, the disk drive thing has me confused. It's like that's something that just don't even have it at launch. Have the
Do you have the
ability.
disc drive?
That's the one I
PS5?
got. That's the one I have. Yeah, and you wanna know how many PS5 games I own that are on disc? One.
One.
And you know why? Because I wanted the steelbook case for Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
I own one game
Yeah,
on disc.
I bought it without it. I made the gamble, and I went discless,
Yeah,
and it was the best decision I ever made.
yeah. If Beefy Boy has no disc drive on it, and that's just like an aftermarket purchase, that if you want to play physical, because here's the thing that people need to understand: it doesn't matter if you buy digital or physical, you still don't own the game. Like Sony could shut the PlayStation Network down tomorrow, and you can't play your physical games. It's a license. You're still down. Like that's why every time you put in a game, it's not installing the game; it's downloading the game digitally. So there's no reason to own physical unless you just like to have a box to collect, which is totally fine. I get that. I think that's cool. I used to take CD covers. I would buy when we started getting into like the iTunes generation. I would buy CDs because I would make posters out of album covers. I like to do that, and or people like to have their display of all their games, and so but that's really the only reason to buy physical. So if you think you own the game just because you have a CD, that no, you don't. I hate to break it to you, but
Well, now Nintendo for the Switch 2, they're giving you a virtual game card. You're not even getting a fucking cartridge anymore in the Switch
yeah, I
2's
was gonna. So are
stuff.
those cartridges or what are they?
They're so it's kind of hard to explain, but Nintendo has basically done away with physical in a way. Like not every game is getting one of those things. It's a virtual card, like a virtual Nintendo card. And it's just another way to say that you have the license and to
So it's a
verify
it's
it.
a, it's a CD, but it's a cartridge that like the.
It's a cartridge. Yeah, it's
But
I,
there's nothing physically like a Nintendo like Zelda Breath of the Wild on the cartridge actually has the media on that cartridge.
yeah, it's a virtual game card. So they are a featured they allow you to load, right? I'm putting air quotes, load and eject digital game titles onto two Nintendo Switch consoles. I will say setting them up like between consoles was a little bit cumbersome because of the virtual card change and feature. Like whoever has primary Switch account, secondary Switch accounts, you can only use games that you have downloaded from the Nintendo store or eShop, whatever the fuck, on the primary Nintendo console. So my old Switch, I cannot play any of my virtual games that I bought on my old Switch. I can play cartridge games and I can play virtual games when I'm connected to Wi-Fi because it has to verify. Dude, it's a fucking nightmare.
Why would they do
But
that?
because it's Nintendo, dude. Because it is
You have to buy our
Nintendo.
thing and you're gonna fucking like it.
Yeah. So I mean, this was kind of the low key topic I wanted to talk about today, and we kind of got in there naturally about physical games dying. They're on the way out, and it's sad
Yeah.
because I also really love physical games. But with the PS5 generation, I mean, people have been playing on PC for how long? And
Yeah.
guess what? It's all downloadable
Mhm.
shit on there too, right? So this is just the way that it's going. It's cheaper for publishers and people to get their games digitally and not have to worry about getting it into GameStop. GameStop's dying. Best Buy is still hanging on by a thread. You have your Walmarts and your Targets, but there aren't many places to go buy physical games anymore. So I think overall, it'll be sad to see them go, but I think that it's just the way she goes.
Yep.
And have you ever seen what is it? Trailer Park Boys? You watch Trailer Park Boys?
I know what you're talking about. I really never
Way
watched
she
it.
goes, Ricky. The way she goes. Um, but yeah, it's just it's one thing after another in the gaming industry recently. The virtual game cards for Nintendo kind of stink. And it's sad because the Nintendo fan base is incredibly collector heavy. They love having their physical shit there. And I'm hoping that Nintendo starts to put some more stuff out so that people can have that again. But it's you have Game Pass, you have all of these digital subscription services. Even if you own, like you said, the physical disc, the game cartridge, you're essentially renting the license
Right.
to play the game. At any time, developers can take it away from you. That's just that's just kind of the way it is. So sad, but it is just a product of the time. I don't think we'll ever go back really, and
Yeah.
that's what enthusiasts, that's what retro gaming is all about, I think, and I think that's what makes it so unique and so special is that you can still have those experiences.
And you're 100% right. That's the cool thing is we have a few of those shops here in the town that I live where you can just go buy a lot of those things. eBay's a great place. Garage sailing. You can find lots of really good deals because there's a lot of, especially Wii games, are super expensive to get a hold of. And then to find your little lost treasures, there's a niche group of the gaming community that likes to go and get their physical media and collect old games. I actually was doing that. I had one of those. Can't remember the brand name, but it was one of those machines that could play NES, Sega Genesis, Game Boy Advance games. It was all in one kind of console. Super cool. Loved it. I have it still. And then I have in storage. I don't have a Nintendo, but I do have a 64, a PS1, a PS2, a PS3, my PS4 Pro still. I have the original Fat Boy Duke Xbox and a Duke controller. I've got uh 360 and a Wii and a bunch of games for that, and like a 3DS, that the 3DS that had or the 2DS. I have a 3DS and a 2DS put away, that the 2DS that has the advanced slot port. Um and so I was collecting all those things, right? And I stopped. I stopped when I built my PC. The reason why is a lot of those older games, especially now, you don't have to own them to play them. And they run better and they look better because either they get remade or they've been on Steam. Now, some of them you have to have, like, and I have them kind of displayed. Like, I have my original copy. I have like a little man cave area, and I have my original copy of Metal Gear Solid and the PS3 Metal Gear Solid collection sitting side by side. I have the original Demon Souls there on disc, and then I have tons of boxes full of PS2 games. Like The Getaway, the games that were great. That the only way to play them is on a PS2.
Yeah.
I want to show my kids some of those games one day. Is why I still hold on to all that, but I don't collect them anymore because it's almost like you kind of feel like eventually everything will be available. What do you have time for, really? And I know there's a group of people that likes to collect old video games. The angry video game nerd, James Rolfe. He's actually got a really cool platformer coming out. He's had 2 games released, but he's got a new one that looks actually really, really good. 3D platformer or 2D platformer. But that's, he loves playing NES games still. And those experiences and people that want to do those things, that's awesome. And I hope that they're always able to do that, because these companies aren't doing what we asked for. They're not going back to their library and giving us what we want. I would love for the entire PlayStation 1 library to be available digitally. I know it's an unrealistic expectation because you're asking companies that don't even exist. I'm never going to get Neversoft's Spider-Man on PS5. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because Neversoft became Vicarious Visions, and then all those people, then that studio got shut down. So Activision would have to like, is the money worth it? And they're just not going to do that, right? That you're not going to get enough return to put enough effort into doing that. And um, it's like, I had tons of CDs, I had tons of DVDs. Don't own or buy any of that stuff anymore because I have Spotify and I have every streaming service thing. And it's just,
Yeah.
we're part of the problem. People bitch and moan about, why does that NFL player get to make $48 million a year? Because you fucking tune in every Sunday, because you're going to
Yeah.
pay $400 for a ticket to get through the front door. I think the Eagles Cowboys game, the nosebleed scenes at Lincoln Financial Field were like $652 to get in the gate by the time the
That's
game
crazy.
started. And so it's like, they make that because you're willing to do that. Why is physical media this way? Because you were willing to do it. Why does Game Pass exist? Because you were willing to do it. And so consumerism and where we are as consumers, you, you hear the term all the time, vote with your wallet. I've been guilty of things that I should not have bought. Dude, I don't know. Let me just look. And this is probably, comparing to most people. Let me see how many, of course I have to do an update when I'm
You're looking
opening
to see how many
Steam.
games you have on Steam?
Yep, I'm just going to see how many are in my library. And like, comparing to most people's, the reason I'm kind of dead airing here is because it's updating. But comparatively to most people, this is probably not that much. But from someone who's a father, and I have 171 games on Steam.
Sheesh. That's a
171
lot.
on Steam. And I could log in. I probably have more on, or at least as much on PlayStation. Do you know, like, I'm just scrolling and I see tons of games in there that I never even have touched. And so, and as I'm becoming older, I'm playing games less and less, and I'm never going to not play video games, but that's why I stopped collecting them, right? That's why I stopped collecting. I collect Spider-Man comics. I have Spider-Man comics from the 60s. Um, but it gets expensive, and you gotta put your money where the things that, as you get older, you know where your money needs to go. And being a father of 3 children and married and having a mortgage and things like that, my money doesn't need to go to those things anymore. If you're able to, and you don't have those things, and you have disposable income, by all means do it. Game preservation needs to be a thing because these companies just won't.
Yeah, I agree. I think, later on in life would be a good time for me to maybe go backwards and do a lot of that. But now is not the time. I mean, I still have a ton of consoles. I have my Dreamcast, my Genesis, every console I've ever owned. I still have not set up or anything, but sitting in a box
Yep.
somewhere for one day when I go back and buy a CRT TV and set everything up the way that I want to. But again, like you said, there's different ways to get games now on PC, and I think Nintendo has done a really good job. I was, parsing through the Game Boy Advance emulator that they have on there, which is awesome. They got freaking Fire Emblem, like Sacred Stones and the other Fire Emblem I love those games. There's a lot of great stuff that you can get there. Nintendo's doing a good job with that, which I appreciate. The N64 games and all of that. So yeah, that's the piece on physical games. I think if you're listening, right in, let us know what you have, what your thoughts are on it, because I know this is a big point of contention for a lot of gamers.
Right. Yep.
Let's talk about the last kind of two pieces of news that we have here. I threw this in there. Nothing super interesting here, but This comes from IGN. Xbox Game Pass once again in the firing line after former Microsoft executive says it creates, quote, weird inner tensions. Um, Last week, Bethesda Softworks former senior vice president of global marketing communications, Pete Hines, said that gaming subscription services like Game Pass are, quote, worth jack shit if the game developers who create content for them are not properly supported. Subscriptions have become the new four-letter word, right? You can't buy any product anymore, Hines said. When you talk about a subscription that relies on content, if you don't figure out how to balance the needs of the service and people running the service with the people who are providing the content, without which your subscription is worth jack shit, then you have a real problem. On LinkedIn, former PlayStation exec Shawn Layden expressed his support for Hines's comment, saying, quote, hits the nail right on the head. The question is not, is the service profitable for the platform? Layden said. Is it healthy and helpful for the developer is what we need to ask. So this article goes on, and there are other people who have come back basically to the defense saying that, hey, this is great for gamers, but not necessarily great for developers. We've been saying this since the podcast has been back. I feel like we've talked about this ad nauseum, but I'll continue to bring it up. Not to hate on Xbox by any stretch. I love Game Pass,
Yeah.
but to voice what I think some really important figureheads in the industry and people who have been around for a long time, who are obviously deeply connected to the industry and those who make games, what they say about it, and continue to have the conversation. It's an important one. We've talked about it. Games are really expensive. They're throwing them on Game Pass. They're not making as much money on these things. This plays into the kind of, Xbox versus PlayStation thing as well. Everything right now I feel like is rooted in Game Pass and how these development cycles are going. It's all so uniquely intertwined. Game development is unlike anything else. It's unlike making a movie, in my opinion. It's unlike a lot of these things because of how you interact with it, because of how you purchase and interface with the industry. I think gaming is unique in that way, that you have to have, not only buy-in from, being able to buy the product. It's not just 3 or 4 hours. You're typically spending 40 to 50 hours with these things. They're incredibly technically difficult. The teams that make these games work on them for a long time. Most of the time they're larger teams for these big AAA games, and being able to, I mean, when you're the former of Bethesda, you worked at Bethesda for a really long time. They obviously got swallowed up by Xbox, and he knows how much go into those games. Throwing them on Game Pass and having people play them for free, not for free, you know what I'm saying, for the small
Right.
subscription price, is not going to be great for the longevity of developers. And the data also came out. I saw that a lot of Xbox players are playing games for an hour or two and putting them down,
Yeah.
because they don't have that. Hey, I spent $60 on this, $70 on this, $50 on this. I need to play it.
Yeah.
I feel that sometimes, even if a game that I don't love and I'm not jiving with right away, I'm like, well, fuck, I spent $50 on it. I got to see it
Yeah.
through. I
Yeah.
gotta get my money's worth out of it. You don't have that with Game Pass. I'm guilty. I've jumped into games on Game
Hmm.
Pass for like 2 hours and dipped.
Yeah.
Why not? You know.
Yeah. Man, first of all, just Uncle Pete and Shawn Layden, you're both very, very much missed in the gaming community because
Yes.
I think PlayStation. God, I wish Shawn Layden would have never left PlayStation. The bravado and the cadence when he would come out at a press conference, you knew you were about to see some cool shit. He would wear like the little shirt underneath the blazer that would kind of like tease what he's going to give away.
What is gonna
Sean
show? Yeah.
Layden's the shit, man. And Pete Hines, I think he saw the forest through the trees and read the tea leaves and said, fuck you, Microsoft. I'm not being a part of this. I didn't sit here for 20 years to develop all these games and back Todd Hine and go to bat for all these guys just so you could gobble up our games to be put on Game Pass. And I don't blame them. And I don't, as a consumer, as a player of video games, Game Pass is fucking awesome. And they could
It
charge
is.
$40 a month, which they probably will. it's going to go up in price. It already has.
It's coming.
It was like $9.99 when it launched a month for everything that it had on there. PC Game Pass, I think, was $4.99 a month when it first started, and you could do the whole thing like entry for $1 for 1 month, and uh,
Cancel and re-sign up under
yeah,
another email and shit.
exactly. And I think you could still do that, but you've you gotta get to a point to where if I was a developer and Microsoft said, I would be like, fuck you. No way. No way in hell. And I was so it sucks because the little guy, like the amazing team that made Expedition 33, they probably felt it helped them, right? Because they made such a great game that millions played it. And it made people that didn't have Xbox on PlayStation or not have PC Game Pass but had Steam go, because there's a lot of players on PC that like they don't want to install Xbox launcher, they don't want to install Epic Game Store, they just want Steam, and they are willing to spend the money if a game is good, and that's a good thing. But I think in the grand scheme of things, it bastardizes like the people like Machine Games and all these first party like Bethesda and doing the Elder Scrolls 4 remake and Indiana Jones. Like there's a developer going, God damn it, I just wasted 6-7 years of my life making this game for someone to play it for 20 minutes on for $9.99, and they're getting a because they're a first party. So those are the teams that are getting fucked, and that's why I think Pete was so vocal about it, because if I worked on Call of Duty, I'd be like, well, fuck. Like we went from being we're the best selling game every year, and now it's giving away on a subscription service. It's I'm worried, and this kind of ties into like the physical game media thing going away. I really think one day you're just gonna have a box, and the technology is gonna get so good where the internet is gonna be so good that there is not going to be a PlayStation. There's not going to be an Xbox. You're going to have the Sony gaming box or whatever, and everything's going to be on it. I just bought a new Fire Stick today, right? And I've got YouTube TV, I've got HBO Max, I've got all the things installed on it, and my one remote works and controls everything. I'm worried that's where gaming is going to go. We've already seen it with music. We've seen it with movies. What is holding this industry back other than technology being able to stream and do the things that you can do, like with interactive media? You know what I mean? And so once I think technology gets to that point, there's not going to be any reason to. And I think that's why Microsoft doesn't give a shit about putting a what remake of a 20-year-old game on PS5. I don't think they give a shit about putting Sea of Thieves, one of their best selling games that saw a player base over the last 2 years decline, onto the PS5. I think that's why I think Phil is probably in a meeting somewhere saying put Game Pass on PS6. But I like Sony's model because people are like, man, as a gamer, as a consumer, it's not as good as Game Pass. But for Sony, they're doing it smart. They haven't even, I don't even think Forbidden West is on, or it just got on, did it?
I don't think it's on there yet.
I don't think Forbidden West is on there. Spider-Man 2 is not on there. They're doing it smart to where they're putting it on their subscription service before it goes to PC in some cases, and some cases not. Like Forbidden West has been on PC for a while and it's not there. Or they're doing it where little bits at a time. So, I don't know. It's I I love both of those individuals, and I feel for devs that are getting hurt by this. And I think it all kind of ties together, like the development cycle we talked about, and Unreal Engine 5 being shitty. It's like, well, what do you want us to do now? You want us to put this game out that is on an engine, and you're going to put it on a subscription service. Like, how am I supposed to feed my kids? And they haven't seen me because I've been working 120 hours a week for the last 5 years. So I would be frustrated. And how do you solve that?
I don't think you do, other than getting rid of Game Pass, or cutting your workforce down significantly, which Xbox has already done. You know, probably had some bloat in there and will continue to. I really don't know how this works out, to be honest with you. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, obviously, we'll be along for the ride, bringing all the news to you guys out there
Yeah,
listening. But
it's it's super sad. It's sad. But anyway, Kevin, what's coming to Game Pass this month?
yeah, speaking of Game Pass, I'm gonna list out just the names of the game. They come out between the September 3rd and September 19th. You have Nine Souls, Cataclysmo, Hollow Knight Silk Song, NHL 26. And then tomorrow, those are all already out if you're listening to this. September 10th, Paw Patrol, the 16th,
Fuck yeah.
Roadcraft, 17th, Commandos Origins, 17th, Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, September 18th, Frostpunk 2, September 19th, EA Sports FC 26. Your PlayStation Plus monthly games are Psychonauts 2, Stardew Valley, which I did download and start, and Viewfinder. So that's what you have there for your PlayStation monthly games. Just a reminder here of all the places that you can hear and listen to us and see our amazing gaming takes. If you want to email in, please do. Plug email and socials shamelessly here. Remote gaming podcast at gmail.com. That is where you can write in and be a part of the show. Joseph, I think that kind of wraps up the show. Anything you want to say here as we wrap up?
No, I've probably offended enough people for the week, so I'm good, man. But hopefully we weren't totally gone for 4 years this time. It was only on about a month, but we gave you a good beefy one, hopefully, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you continue to listen, and yeah, man, that's all I got.
That's all I got too. Cheers, guys. We'll see you next week.
Later, chooms.